Hey, hello, and welcome to this special episode of the OnStage Colorado podcast. I'm Alex Miller.
And I'm Tony Tresca. Thank you for joining us for the third annual OnStage Colorado Awards for Theatrical Excellence, aka the Oscars.
Yeah, all the red carpet action has died down. The stars are in their seats, and we're ready to go. So, as we've noted this year, we made a few changes to the Oscars. So, for the first 2 years, we had quite a few winners in each category, and some up to 10. So, maybe diluting the honors just a little bit. So, we're getting a little bit different this year.
Yeah, so in addition to announcing all of the nominees in advance, which we did earlier this January, we decided to make it just a little bit more exclusive at the top and picked three winners. Except in a couple of categories where we had a few ties. And so there are three awards. The top award is outstanding, then there is excellent, and final third is notable.
Yeah. And also this year, rather than a live broadcast, we're recording this just a little bit earlier in the day here on Sunday, January 18th, and give us a little bit of time to add some of the images and video from a lot of these shows. So fortunately, there was a lot of video available, which we think will really help illustrate the winners rather than us, blabbing about them.
We
So
will
Tony,
also blab about them, though.
oh, yes, of course, yes. So, Tony, you reviewed or previewed or otherwise wrote stories about dozens of shows in 2025. So, along with your reviews on OnStage Colorado, you also did a number of theater stories for Westward and a few others. So, I was wondering, do you have an overall sense of what kind of year we had in theater? Any trends that stuck out, like good or bad? Good or bad?
Okay, so starting with the good, it was a really strong year for new work. I'm talking, we had a lot of world premieres by Colorado playwrights. And then it wasn't a world premiere. There were a lot of really interesting regional premieres. So new to Colorado being performed around the state. And that's by big theaters like the Denver Center and smaller companies. We saw that kind of really strong commitment to bringing new theater to the stages.
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely a lot of new work to choose from, and some pretty strong stuff. And we'll get to that later in our original play or musical category.
Definitely. And then kind of as for the bad news, it was kind of a rough year for immersive theater between Off Center, which was the DCPA's wing for producing original immersive work, announcing in October that it was going to be shuttering that wing dedicated to producing new work here in Denver. There were just some shows that didn't quite hit, also big and small, and so we still had a couple of really incredible immersive works, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But it wasn't quite the immersive year that other years have been in recent memory.
Yeah, that's true. And there was certainly some other fun immersive stuff going on. It just wasn't necessarily new. Like for example, Audacious Theater was always does their Drunk Christmas, and they did have one called Woodlands and Wyverns that didn't really hit for me, so it didn't rise to the top on the immersive side. And yeah, definitely not as much on and then of course the big Denver Center Off Center show was kind of a miss for us and a lot of other people.
Definitely. And then kind of another trend that is, I'm not sure if it's good or bad yet. It's just something that I noticed is that there's a lot more smaller shows, 1 to 4 person casts in basically single location sets. And that's kind of always been true with theater. That's one of the great things about it is you can do these smaller chamber pieces and not have to spend a ton of money to produce them if you have really strong acting. But I think in the wake of the pandemic, theaters are still definitely recovering, and this is a thing that they can do to lower the cost for producing theater.
Yeah, yeah, and God, sometimes those little smaller cast shows are just fantastic. A lot of times it's just one or
Absolutely.
two people. At the same time, we also have plenty of big ass musicals still being produced, like from Performance Now, from um, the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, of course, the Arvada Center, even the Denver Center had a big musical. The theater company had a big musical this year, which they often don't have
That's
a
right.
musical in Little Shop of Horrors, which was a highlight for us. I remember that one very well. So. I don't have a lot of data to support it, but I did get the sense that 2025 was at least approaching pre-pandemic norms in terms of audience size, the number of shows being done, and the overall enthusiasm for live theater. Of course, we know there are still plenty of struggles along the way, and there were some theaters that didn't see, that were here at the beginning of 2025 that are no longer with us. Some of the smaller organizations were. Sometimes I don't even know if they're actually gone, but when I go to check on like for calendar and I check and it's like the site hasn't been updated in like over a year or two, I'm like, that doesn't look very good.
Definitely. But tonight, we are going to be focused on all the good stuff in Colorado theater, and there really is a ton to celebrate. And while we're going to go through this list and highlight some of the winners, I just wanted to quickly say anybody who is producing theater, acting, helping market it being involved in any capacity in this day and age in 2026, you are doing vital, incredible, important work. Your work is going to help get us through these dark times, so keep creating. Um,
You're
but
here.
with that, let's get on with it, shall we? Drum roll, fanfare, and voice of God intoning. Welcome to the 2025 Oscars.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to start off with some of the tech categories, starting with scenic design. So this is a really competitive category because there's some really good scenic design work going on around Colorado. So the nominees this year were Alan E. Moriaka for Little Shop of Horrors at the Denver Center Theater Company, Brandon Philip Case for The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime at Aurora Fox, Brian Malgrave for Frozen at the Arvada Center, Brian Watson for Lizzie at the Aurora Fox. An outlier, kind of a surprise entrant, Garrett Ammon, who's the main principal choreographer and driving force at Wonderbound, a contemporary ballet company. But we loved his set for Holidays at the Hideaway Hotel. Clara Ziglarova, a case for Black girls setting Central Park on fire from local theater company that was distinguished by actual treadmills built into the set, into the stage. Marcus Henry for Eureka Day at Curious Theater, Matthew S. Crane for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, Reed Thompson for The Suffragettes Murder, DCPA Theater Company, and Xander Claypool for National Bohemians at Miners Alley Performing Arts Center. So,
Yeah.
who got the notable recognition for this one, Tony?
So our notable recognition this year goes to Xander Claypool for National Bohemians at Miners Alley Performing Arts Center. Alex, in your review, you called out Xander's scenic design, calling it a first rate job, creating a highly realistic, constantly changing storm environment.
Yeah, that was a challenging one because there was a hurricane going on, and along with the sound and lights for that one, it was a really cool effect. So, the next one is a common name that gets called out for Scenic Design Awards. Brian Malgrave for Frozen. So he did a number of different sets this year, but the one for Frozen was just fantastic. Of course, he had to do like a whole snowscape. It incorporated a lot of visual, projections to sell it, and just looked fantastic.
Definitely. And the outstanding winner this year is Matthew S. Crane for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. In my review, I really was called out his work. I was very impressed with the scenic design, saying it immediately immerses the audience in a richly textured London, a glowing skyline silhouette, multi story pieces of the bank's home that move seamlessly in and out, and additional pieces dropped in using the theater fly system. There was one particularly impressive scenic change during Jolly Holiday, in which it starts all being drab and in black and white, and in a second, it all lights up in vibrant colors due to this really incredible scenic transition pulled off by Matthew S. Crane and the team at the Fine Arts Center. So, really remarkable work.
Fantastic. All right. Well, often going hand in glove with scenic design is lighting design. Who are our nominees for this?
Yes, so the nominees for lighting design are Brett Mahon for Frankenstein at Platte Valley Theater Arts, Emily Maddox for A Case for Black Girls setting Central Park on fire by a local theater company, Aaron Thibodeau for The Thin Place by Boulder Ensemble Theater Company, aka Betsy, Jin Orff for The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Aurora Fox, John Dunkel for Frozen at the Arvada Center, Josh Hemo for Silent Sky by TheaterWorks in Colorado Springs, Katie Gruhagen for The Tempest by Colorado Shakespeare Festival, Keith A. Truax for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center, Matthew Schlepp for the 39 Steps at Open Stage in Fort Collins, and Vance McKenzie for National Bohemians by Miners Alley Performing Arts Center.
All right. And so in this category, notable recognition went to Josh Hemo for Silent Sky at TheaterWorks. Our reviewer, Judith Sears, wrote that the lighting contributed an essential magic to a play whose protagonist is preoccupied with measuring the light from the stars. The lighting scheme reaches a virtuosic peak as Levitt's life is ending, but her compliments are just being realized. Shades of blue and purple and smaller twinkling bulbs immerse the audience in the night sky, creating a sense of mystery and majesty. So, yeah, sounds like that was a really cool effect.
Definitely. The award for excellence goes to Brett Mahan for Frankenstein by Platte Valley Theater. Alex, you called out his design and said it deserved a lot of credit for creating such an impactful visual experience. Can you say a little bit more about Brett's work?
Yeah, well, this was another one where the set design was really impactful as well, and the sound and the light were a big part of portraying the malevolence of the creature and the whole background. It's a very dark show, and so those can be tricky to light just because it can be too dark. But he hit the right balance of keeping everybody lit while also having those somber grays and black tones everywhere.
And the outstanding winner this year for lighting design goes to Katie Gruhagen for The Tempest by CSF. In my review of The Tempest, I said that Katie's work complements this world with a dynamic palette that captures everything from lightning storms to moonlit enchantments, often enhanced using string lights and lanterns for added texture. It was
That
really
yeah.
rich lighting design.
It really was, and it was such a big part of the overall tone of that show was the lighting, also which tended towards the dark as well. I just remember a lot of blacks and purples and things like that.
Very moody, yeah.
Yeah. So another great tech category that's it's often people don't even realize how good it is. They don't walk out so usually saying, "Wow, the sound design was great," but they know in their bones, that it's when it was good. So this year there was a lot of great nominees, starting with Alex Billman for A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire from local theater company, Brendan Ains for The Happiest Man on Earth, DCPA Theater Company, Kurt Baim, Kurt Beam, maybe Rock of Ages, Parker Arts, and that was just a real accomplishment. It's just like doing a rock show like that in a big hall is like getting that sound all right, especially when you've got sort of two bands on stage. Elizabeth Widener for Little Shop of Horrors at the Denver Center, Aaron Kubat for Frankenstein at Platte Valley Theater Arts. Again, just went hand in glove with the sound and lighting. John Hauser, a always present there at the Miners Alley Performing Arts Center doing sound, but also on stage as well. This one for National Bohemians. We were talking about that storm. Max Silverman, we nominated twice for Job at Curious Theater and also for The Tempest at Colorado Shakespeare Festival that we were just talking about. Rich Cowden, Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime at Aurora Fox. Of course, he was also the director of that show. And Victoria Villalobos for The 39 Steps at Open Stage Theater. So who is the notable award winner in this category, Tony?
Victoria, who actually takes home this award for her work on the 39 Steps at Open Stage Theater. Our reviewer said, speaking of camp, the sound designer fully embraces the 1930s cinematic spirit with melodramatic orchestral scores that swell between scenes and underscore key dramatic moments. Also called out just a lot of the really fun sound designs that accented a lot of the jokes. So it sounds like really
Uh-huh.
fun sound design.
Yep. Excellent recognition in this category goes to Max Silverman for The Tempest at Colorado Shakespeare Festival. Tony, in your review, you said that it helped blend Jordan Cotrie's live score with sound effects that are contemporary and mythical.
Definitely true. It was a overall, that production definitely was straddling the line between present day and past times, and I think you really heard that reflected in the sound design.
Great.
A and the winner for outstanding is John Hauser for his work on National Bohemians at Miners Alley. In your review, Alex, you said, "From the thunder rumbling the theaters to the lightning flashes, rain slashing down and pounding on the roof, to the crackling radio monitor leading to Boo Bird's room, it was a well-coordinated effort that really paid off." And I second all of that. Very
Yep.
true.
Yep. Great job all around by the team there at Miners Alley for that set and the whole environment that they built to support the story of National Bohemians. Next up
Definitely.
is costume design. This is a great category. It's so much fun. And somebody had actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, are you guys going to do wigs and makeup?" And I was like, yeah, it's like that's a whole nother thing to think about. But you know, it's a little harder for it'd be a little harder for me to kind of pick those out sometimes, but costumes are, of course, one of the most visible part of a character other than their face. So it's a little easier to pick out. So, who are the nominees for costume design this year?
The nominees are Charlotte Campbell for her work on Million Dollar Quartet Christmas at Candlelight in Johnstown, Deb Faber for Bright Star, also at Candlelight, Emily Valley for Frozen at the Arvada Center, Kevin Copenhaver for A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, also at the Arvada Center, Lex Lang and Sarah Bourgeois for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, Madison Booth for Nice Work If You Can Get It at Lone Tree Art Center, Nicole Watts for Flying West at TheaterWorks, Nikki Harris for Rock of Ages, a co-production between Parker Arts and Veritas Productions, Sarah Zen for The Tempest at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival, Terry Gerard for Mr. Burns at Boz Blue, and Susan Ramsdorf Terry for A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire by a local theater company.
All right, great lineup there. So the notable recognition goes to Madison Booth for Nice Work If You Can Get It from Lone Tree Arts Center in my review. So this was set in 1927, and I thought Booth did a really nice job outfitting a large ensemble in a really dizzying variety of ballroom, heist, and lounge attire that really helped tell the story.
Yeah, there was a lot of costume changes in that one, and when you have a big cast like that, it's always impressive to see a costume designer have that many interesting, unique costumes to be able to throw at the whole crew. The excellent recognition goes to Sarah Zen for The Tempest at Colorado Shakespeare Festival.
Oh
In
yeah.
my review, I called out Sarah's work for wisely resisting pinning the setting to any single era, allowing for a dreamlike fairy tale ambience that heightens the show's thematic tension. The shipwrecked nobles wear modern-ish suits, suggesting sleek Western colonial powers intruding on a place they don't understand, while in contrast, the island spirits are dressed in vibrant, tie-dyed costumes that clearly defy temporal placement. So I think it just really underlined a lot of what Kevin's Rich's direction was trying to achieve.
Yeah, and that's just a, kind of an open book kind of show where you could really make a big impact with costume just because just the nature of the material, the Tempest, just such a cool story that you can do a lot with it. So the outstanding winner in the costume category is Kevin Copenhaver for A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder at the Arvada Center. So I don't remember, this is a little while ago, but I just remember writing a fabulous period costumes check. And so just, you know, the level of detail to get those all right obviously took tons of time and everybody just looked great in that show.
And there were a lot of quick changes in that show,
Yeah.
particularly with one of the main characters who played all of the members of the Dicewith family. And so those costume changes all had to be really able to be done both quick and be incredibly distinct. And Kevin was able to achieve that with clarity. All right, Alex, what's our next category?
Choreography. Yeah. So all kinds of, as we were saying, lots of big musicals this year. So they all need choreographers. The nominees are Bethany Eileen Talley for The Fantastics at Creed Repertory Theater, Christopher Page Sanders for Nice Work If You Can Get It at Lone Tree Arts Center, Claire Hayes for the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee from Family Theater, Dallas Slankard for Guys and Dolls at Vintage Theater, Heather Westenskow for Something Rotten at Stage Door Theater, Jeffrey Denman for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, Ricky Tripp for Little Shop of Horrors at the Denver Center Theater Company, and Shauna Walker for Oklahoma at Candlelight. All right, so who got the notable recognition on this one, Tony?
A notable recognition goes to Dallas Slankard for Guys and Dolls at Vintage Theater. In my review, I wrote, one of the show's undeniable strengths is its dynamic choreography, masterfully designed by Dallas. From the riotous energy of the crapshooters dance to the playful showgirl-infused numbers at the hotbox, the dance sequences are full of energy and precision.
All right. In the excellent category of this category or tier, recognition goes to Jeffrey Denman for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. And since you saw this recently, you want to mention what was so great about that choreography?
Sure. I mean, it was just incredibly varied. There was everything from tap sequences like Step in Time to large ensemble numbers like Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, in which he had the cast use their bodies to actually spell out the letters as they were singing the song, to smaller, more character driven moments. They're not easy sequences to pull off, but Jeffrey and the cast make them look that way.
Is it true that if you want to get Tony Truska's attention in awards for choreography, if you put in some tap, you got a leg up?
It certainly doesn't hurt, Alex.
Tony loves his tap. Who doesn't love tap? So the outstanding winner in this category is Bethany Eileen Talley for the Fantastics at Creed Rep. So Judith got down to see some of their shows this past summer and said the inventive choreography of Talley lifted the show into an extraordinary experience, following what she called music-informed movement approach to tailor dances that responded to each song style and plot point. So yeah. That's always a fun show. I haven't seen the Fantastics in a long time. It's cool that they did that this past summer.
Yeah, I can't. I haven't seen it since I was in high school either. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while. But this was a great
Following,
production of it in Creed.
yeah. Following that musical theme, next up is musical director. Who are the nominees, Tony?
The nominees this year are Alex Steinhorn for Nice Work If You Can Get It over at the Lone Tree Art Center. Alec did a lot of great work this year, but wanted to
Yeah.
recognize him for Nice Work because it was just such a classic Broadway sounding score with a lot of different, really complex musical numbers.
Hmm.
Christopher Wren for Million Dollar Quartet Christmas at Candlelight. Christy Vest for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. David Nels for Assassins at Miners Alley Performing Arts Center, Donna K. Deberini for Lizzie at the Aurora Fox, G.J. Marcirellia for Ghost Quartet by the Catamounts, Johnny Nichols Jr. for A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire by Local Theater Company, Mason Siders for Bright Star at Candlelight, also Jalen Courtney Webb. They co-directed that one. Tanner Kelly for Rock of Ages, it's a co-production between Parker Arts and Veritas, and Trent Hines for the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee by Family Theater Company. And who's our winner for Notable?
Notable goes to Tanner Kelly of Rock of Ages, Parker Arts Veritas Productions. So he had Trent Hines on keys there, and the band was led by a real standout guitarist and Jason Tyler Vaughn, and Tanner pulled it all together really nicely in that show. And he is a busy guy; he's all over the place. It was great to see him get an award for music direction this year because he's also a really strong director.
That's right. I just heard his work over back at the Pace Center. He was the music director for Shrek, which I saw this weekend.
Yeah.
Um, Excellent recognition goes to GJ for Ghost Quartet by the Catamounts. This was a really complex show. They led a musical in which each performer plays instruments live on stage, including cello, piano, percussion, and more to create this really rich, textured soundscape that also shifts between musical genres as varied from gospel, jazz, folk, and electro pop. And all of those different genres were balanced seamlessly with great vocal direction to complement it.
Cool. The outstanding winner in this category is Alex Steinhorn for "Nice Work If You Can Get It" from Lone Tree. So when we were going through the all of the shows for this year, his name came up over and over again. But this one, he had a 14-piece band that he conducted. It was remarkably good. It's often in the case with local musicals, I wrote in my review that the band can kind of be the weak link, but here the musicians all shined as an ensemble, whipping through an exhaustive repertoire of musical numbers with real professionalism. So really, really standout performance there.
Definitely. It was like over 30 musical numbers in that
Yeah.
show, which is just, that's a shit ton.
Yeah, it's a big lift. All right. Well, our next category is an intimacy and fight direction. So it's always like, as we've noted before, it's funny that these kind of fall together, the fighting and sex stuff often takes the same kind of skill. So the nominees for this year were Chris Duran for fight choreography and Clove Love for intimacy direction in The Legend of Anne Bonny. And that show had plenty of fighting and fucking, I guess you could say, from Toussaint Lion in this original musical about pirates. Lots of fun. Jada Suzanne Dixon for intimacy direction and Eureka Day at Curious Theater. Samantha Eagle for fight direction in Little Shop of Horrors in the Denver Center. Of course, there's plenty of action in that respect going on between battling with the plant and also the dentist. Sean Scritchen's fight captain for both The Tempest and Richard II at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival. Great job there. Carrie Colton for intimacy direction in Anastasia at Candlelight. And who does our notable recognition go to in this category, Tony?
Samantha Eagle for Little Shop of Horrors at the Denver Center. There was just some really exceptional plant on human violence that was choreographed in that show, as well as some really strong moments of intimacy in there. So, just all around, really strong work from Samantha.
Plant on human violence is not a phrase you hear very often, but in Little Shop of Horrors, it's a thing.
Yeah, I was like, is it inaccurate though?
No. So for excellent recognition in this category goes to Sean Scratchins for as the fight captain in Tempest and Richard II. So of course there's lots of action, fighting action in both of those. The one in Richard II really struck out because it's the first time I'd ever seen a hullboard fight. So hullboards are those big long spike or like poles or spears, but they've got like this I don't know, this axe-shaped blade at the top, and it was really an interesting fight scene between Matt Zambrano and I can't remember the other actor's name, but that was a real standout.
Yeah, that does sound really cool. And then in The Tempest, there were some really funny, more comedic moments of fight choreography, particularly with the clown characters. And like, there's like that wolf attack that
Hmm.
happens throughout the show. A really, really strong season uh, over there. And the outstanding winner in this category goes to Chris Duran as the fight choreographer and Clove Love as the intimacy director for The Legend of Anne Bonny. Alex, in your review, you said strong fight choreography by Chris. There's a great deal of swordplay and hand to hand combat in the show, and Duran and the cast made it look all fairly realistic. And that was absolutely true. It was really impressive to see that close up sword play in the People's Building. You're really right there as audience
Yeah,
members. And so if it looks bad, you would be able to tell. And it was all really precise, really cool. And then Clove Love helped the cast really convincingly sell those moments of intimacy. It's kind of a love triangle of sorts. And so if you don't buy that intimacy, the show really doesn't work. And it worked.
that's true. And by the way, Clove Love is a great name for an intimacy director.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like they were made for it.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about immersive being a little bit on the, not quite as well, a little on the weak side this year, but we still had some good ones. So, who are the nominees for immersive performances this year?
Yeah, so the nominees this year are A Town Called Harris by the Catamounts, Camp Christmas, the revamped version by the Stanley Marcus Marketplace and the DCPA Off Center in conjunction with Hanson Studios, Inheritance Kitchen by the Japanese Art Network, Meow Wolf's Phenomenally, and Wild Oscillation by Hold Tight Company. That's a dance group.
Yep. And the notable recognition in this category goes to Meow Wolf's Phenomenally. So this is something I went to this with my granddaughters who loved it. It was a family-friendly event, unlike anything you'd experience in Denver last summer. I wrote in my review. I said, open your mind and accept the reality of the worm bloom and checking into Convergence Station for a wildly unique and unexpected event that was all about this weird alien ritual, and of course they've got the set built in there at Meow Wolf, so it was truly immersive. I mean, you were like following them around, and they had a jazz like a brass band playing in there. It was really an experience.
It was a really cool kind of experience to add on top of Meow Wolf. It was some Meow Wolf can kind of be it can get old if you've already done it like a couple
Yep.
of times. It's kind of you know the rooms, you know the routes, you've done the card game, and collected all
Hmm.
of that stuff, unlocked all those storylines. But with this additional immersive element overlaid onto the scenic elements that are already there, it really is a compelling reason to go back and take another bite out of the Meow Wolf apple.
Yep. All right.
So the excellent recognition in this category goes to Wild Oscillation by Hold Tight. This was a really special show. I wrote in my review, dinner and a show is a familiar concept, a wild oscillation, the sporadically produced one night only collaboration between Denver based immersive dance theater troupe Hold Tight and the plant forward restaurant Somebody People asks a bolder question. What if dinner is the show? And that is kind of the framing device for this piece that blends food, movement, live music, storytelling, painting all into this single slow simmered meditation on wildness, wilderness, and order. It was incredible. I hope Hold Tight and Somebody People produce this again. There are rumblings that that is possible. And so I hope you are able to check this show out.
All right. Well, the outstanding winner in this category goes to the Catamounts for A Town Called Harris. I think it's fair to say the Catamounts really held the torch for immersive in 2025.
That's a great way
Or
to put it.
Yeah. And so this was a witty, site specific performance that mixed local history with ghostly fun, you wrote in your review, at the Despain Schoolhouse. Of course, they're always doing their shows, their experiences in these interesting, often historic locations. You wrote, by embracing the site's unique history and folding it into a playful mystery, the Cats crafted a production that was both theatrically engaging and distinctly local, and an experience that underscores why site specific immersive theater remains such a vital form. So that goes to the Catamounts.
Definitely. It was a really funny production, which is not something you can say about a lot of immersive work. It is more serious. Like I enjoyed Wild Oscillation, but it is on the more serious side, reflective side. And this was just an immersive show that was written by Jess Austen. It's just unabashedly hilarious, in addition to being a really cool, immersive romp
Mhm.
around the schoolhouse.
That's great. All right. Next up is the best ensemble. So ensemble is like, I mean, every show is an ensemble of some sort if there's more than one person on stage, but ensemble really talks about like, sort of I guess like equals, as opposed to like a big star maybe, and almost, and like when you look at it and like, wow, this whole thing wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for every single one of these people. So that's kind of what we think of when we nominate in this category. And so this year, the nominees were A Case for Black Girls, Setting Central Park on Fire from local theater company, Assassins from Miners Alley Performing Arts Center, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof from DCPA Theater Company, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime at Aurora Fox, Dracula, a comedy of terrors at the Denver Center, Hope and Gravity from Betsy, Let Nothing You Dismay from Firehouse Theater, Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, and Mr. Burns from Bob Blue, and Steel Magnolias from Theater Silco up in Silverthorne. So, who got the notable recognition in this one, Tony?
Well, this is our first instance of the night where we have a tie for notable recognition. We have two winners here. It goes to Assassins by Miners Alley Performing Arts Center and Mr. Burns by Bob Blue in Fort Collins.
Yeah, great productions. Yeah, both great productions. Assassins was, it's Sondheim, not my favorite thing in the world, but that team worked really great together to sort of portray all of those different presidential assassins together. And Mr. Burns was just this really wild comedy that it jumps forward. It takes place at three different timelines. The actors all have to kind of work together, even and sort of keep going, even though they're different characters to each other, moving forward and back in time. So it's a really interesting show that they did a great job with.
Yep. Excellent recognition goes to the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime over at the Aurora Fox. This is a really classic definition of an ensemble. You had people like kind of playing a Greek chorus around the main
Hmm.
family and the kind of just embodying a variety of roles seamlessly, as well as participating as kind of narrators to push the story forward. It's a show that doesn't work without every single member of this team, and so I think it is a really, exceptional example of an ensemble this year in Colorado.
Yep. And so is our outstanding winner, Steel Magnolias at Theater Silico, directed by Missy Moore. So this was just a gold star lineup of familiar names: Ann Terza Schwartz, Leslie O'Carroll, Maggie Tisdale, Rachel Miller, Christy Oberndorf, and Emma Messenger, in just a banger production of this, extremely well-known sort of warhorse of a dramatic comedy that we both went up to, and we were just like, wow. And we went for the cast and the director, but it reminded us what a great play that is.
That's very true. These women did a fantastic job, and this is a true like another really true ensemble. It's 6-person cast. There is no main character. If you don't believe that these women are all have really intimate, deep knowledge and friendships with each other, the show does not work at all.
Right.
And under the exceptional direction of Missy Moore, you really believe that.
Absolutely. All right, moving into some of the individual performance categories. Actor in a comedy. Who are our nominees here, Tony?
We've got some really funny nominees here, starting off with Becca Lynn's Brose for Hope and Gravity by Betsy, Cameron Davis for Baskerville. That was a Sherlock Holmes comedy over at Lone Tree. Colin Gregory for The Shark is Broken by Springs Ensemble Theater Company. Diane for Stoned Twelfth Night. This was produced by Bowls with the Bard. Heather Osberg Johnson for the 39 Steps by Open Stage Theater, Karen Slack for Eureka Day at Curious Theater, Katie Rodriguez for the 39 Steps at Creed Rep, Marco Alberto Robinson for Dracula, a comedy of terrors at the Denver Center, Tim Fishbaugh for National Bohemians at Miners Alley Performing Arts Center, and Veronica Straight Lingo for Let Nothing You Dismay at Firehouse Theater.
And Veronica Straight Lingo won notable recognition for this performance. This is a really funny show, and in this show, she has this a frozen face because she used the hot tub too soon after her Botox treatment was the explanation. And so to communicate emotion, she would gesture her face and dramatically intone things like concern, or deep worry, things like that, because she couldn't do it with her face. It was very funny. She had this great gimmick to play with, but she also Veronica Straitlinga was always a lot of fun to watch on stage. So great job.
Excellent recognition goes to Tim Fishbaugh for National Bohemians at Miners Alley. He's playing the eldest brother, John, and he was just really, he's both funny, he's really kind of more of the straight man in a lot of this, kind of reacting to the chaos of his family
Hmm.
intruding. And he also then has to go on this really emotional journey as well. He's kind of the beating heart of the show, and he has this really interesting relationship with Nessie, who is out on the water, and kind of I really was moved by Tim's performance here. It was both funny as well as deeply emotional.
Hmm. Love that show. Love the show. Great performance. Great ensemble performance there by everybody, but Tim definitely
Mhm.
deserved it. The outstanding winner in this category is like I'm laughing just thinking about it. Marco Alberto Robinson for Dracula, a comedy of terrors. So this was it was a big year for Marco. He was in a number of shows that were nominated in in some of our best categories. And in this one at the Denver Center's Garner Galleria, he's the only one. He plays Dracula, and he's as I wrote in my review, he delivers a hilarious take on the count that's as horny as it is bloodthirsty. The role is written for a sexy guy, and the ultra ripped Marco fits the bill to a T. He emerges like Elvis from a backlit panel upstage, clad in tight leather pants and just a tiny little shirt that he soon finds an excuse to get rid of. And he's so funny. And like one of my favorite lines in the whole thing was when he shows up at the engagement party with a dessert in a some sort of a cake holder, and in a later scene he's asking for it back. He's like, hey, in between all this other action, he's asking for this, can you give me my cake holder back? And oh my god, he's just so funny. Really funny performance. um and I should
Second
mention,
everything you said there. Yeah,
yeah.
he's really a funny guy, and we're gonna have him on the podcast soon, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was going to mention that he'll be on. He and his wife Adrian, who was also in that show, and they did a number of shows together. So I thought it would be really fun to talk to them, to talk about how they are two theater actors who are often on stage together and also married. So that really fun conversation. So come back next week for that. All right. Next up is actor in a musical. So we're going to go right into some news we were just talking about. So Adrian Lee Robinson for A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder at the Arvada Center. Andy Ray for Something Rotten at Stage Door Theater. Cooper Kaminsky for the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee at Parker Arts. And you were just telling me that you just saw him in the new Shrek musical at the Pace Center, and he was standout in that as well, right?
That's very true. They nail the Scottish accent, and they have really rich vocals. And are also just really funny. So yeah, great
Yep.
job over at the Pace Center, and yeah, here as well.
Eli Schroeder in another production of the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee from Family Theater. Jason Rex for Merrily We Roll Along at Vintage. Genesia Pierce for Bright Star at Candlelight. Jessica Sotwick for Guys and Dolls at Vintage Theater. Liza Piccoli for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. Megan Van de Hey, Sister Act at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. Sabrina Patton for Ride the Cyclone at Vintage Theater. Sarah Holmes for the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee at Parker Arts. Savannah Vedovati for The Legend of Anne Bonny from Two Cent Lion. And who does the notable recognition go to in this category?
We've got another tie, Alex. We've got two
Ah!
winners in this category. Cooper Kaminsky for the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and Liza Piccoli for Mary Poppins over at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. And you reviewed 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Can you talk a little bit about Cooper's performance in that show?
Oh my God. I mean, it's a fun part for any actor. And as I wrote in my review, Kaminsky is an actor's actor who gives 100%. Here, they're tasked with portraying the supremely obnoxious pedant William Barfay. And I was saying, he sort of channeled Groucho Marx, the Cowardly Lion, and Seinfeld Newman in the character that was sort of the quintessential American jerk.
Yeah. And I reviewed Mary Poppins, and I said that Liza strikes a near ideal balance of warmth, wit, and steel. Her voice is bright and expressive, capable of belting and tender stillness. She sells the role's magical requirements, including the bag tricks and flying, with effortless charm. It's a really great performance in a exceptional musical.
Yeah. The excellent recognition in this category goes to Adrienne Lee Robinson for A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder at the Arvada Center. She played Sibella, beautifully played this character, Monty's initial love interest, and did a great job with doing that. Of course, playing against her husband in that other role.
That's right, and she's very much, Sabella's a pampered, spoiled character,
Right.
and Adrian just makes a meal out of that, like, selling every laugh line, all of the over-the-top reactions, particularly in group scenes. Like, there's this one scene at the dinner table in which I'll never forget, just her hilarious reactions to everything going on and trying to maintain composure as people are literally dying.
Yep. Yep. She is so funny.
And the outstanding winner for this in this category goes to Genesee Pierce for Bright Star at Candlelight. I wrote in my review of this show that the success of this musical rests on the shoulders of its lead, and Pierce delivers. As Alice, she gracefully navigates the role's time jumping demands, effortlessly shifting from a commanding but reserved adult to a hopeful teenager with raw honesty. It's a really moving performance. She has a absolutely beautiful singing voice that she uses in very like moments of harrowing plea, like in "Please Don't Take Him," as well as more heartfelt moments like "So Familiar at Long Last." It's a really nuanced, rich performance.
All right. Yeah, I wish I had seen that. You've talked so much about it. So,
Yeah.
all right. Our next category is Best Actor in a Play. Who are our nominees here, Tony?
Our nominees are Brian Cusick for The Case for the Existence of God at Curious Theater, Jahalia Coleman for A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire by Local, Jeffrey Parker for Frankenstein by Platte Valley Theater Arts, Jonathan Underwood for Blues for an Alabama Sky at Firehouse Theater, Laura Croat for In Her Bones at the Fine Arts Center, Lynn Hastings for Flying West by TheaterWorks, Mackenzie Beyer for Cry It Out by Betsy, Martha Harmon Party for Alabama Story by Firehouse Theater, Miranda Byers for Perfect Arrangement, also at Firehouse Theater, Noelia Antweiler for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by the DCPA, TJ Jackson for A Few Good Men at the Upstart Crow in Boulder, Tuli Sandoval for Job by Curious Theater, Wendy Isha for The Trip to the Bountiful by Bach Blue, and Yasmin Amani Hunter in G's Bend at the Aurora Fox.
All right. Well, notable recognition in this category goes to Wendy Ishii, founder of Bob Blue, for the trip to Bountiful. So, our reviewer Leela Einhorn said that Ishii brought a palpable ache to carry, making her longing feel not just like a wish, but a necessity. And her journey, both literal and emotional, is the beating heart of the play, and Ishii's nuanced performance captured both the fierce determination and the deep vulnerability of her character. Um, Also, I would just mention Wendy. I just noticed that John Moore at the Denver Gazette has a really interesting story about Wendy Ishii and another woman, Bo, and they were both married to the same man, and he died, and now they're marrying each other. It's a really interesting story. I didn't finish reading it, but definitely worth checking out if you want to know a little bit more about Wendy Ishii, a fascinating character, Colorado theater.
Yeah, that was a crazy story. I just got done reading that this morning over some coffee. Uh, yeah, they literally just split this all of this man's possessions right down the middle. These two women each took half
Hmm.
of it. Wendy didn't have to do that. She was left all of his stuff. She could have tried to fight it. The other woman could have tried to fight it. Instead, they just got married.
Uh huh.
Mi
Fascinating.
Mind blown. It's crazy. It's a
I
crazy
mean,
story.
that's a play right there. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah. What about
Um,
excellent recognition in this category?
goes to TJ Jackson for his performance in A Few Good Men. He played the Tom Cruise character, if you've seen the movie. And in my review, I said Jackson, a recent transplant after a decade in Atlanta's film and theater scene, is a revelation. His Kafka begins as a breezy, dismissive Nepo baby coasting through the Navy life, but Jackson slowly uncovers the grief and insecurity lurking beneath the swagger. As the case forces him to confront his father's legacy and his own complacency, the actor delivers a riveting blend of charm, anguish, and righteous determination.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds I think you were surprised by that show. I don't think you were expecting you would enjoy it as much as you did, and you saw a performer that you hadn't seen before. It really stood out.
I can definitely say that I was not expecting to be quite as wowed by A Few Good Men. I Upstart Crow is a bit hit or miss for me over the years, but this performance was definitely a hit, and it was anchored in part by T.J. Jackson's really dynamic leading turn.
Yep. All right, the outstanding winner in this category is a familiar name on the podcast. She's been on Noelia Antweiler for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. This was her first show at the Denver Center Theater Company. And so I just said in my review that she was at the top of her game, a pathetic figure, still trying to remain relevant within the wealthy family she's married into after a life of poverty. Aunt Weiler does a lot of great acting with her face, and in this show, the mismatch between her acid tongue and her almost panicked eyes is at the core of a fantastic performance. Yeah, there's just a really impactful moment on stage with Noelia there.
Definitely agree. It was her first time at the DCPA, but I hope it will not be her last. She really delivered a compelling turn here.
Yep. Yep. She had a busy year, strong year too, and there were some other shows that we could have nominated her for, but that was probably the most visible one that she was in for sure. So, for director of a comedy, the nominees are Adeline Mann for A Town Called Harris at the Catamounts, Christy Montour Larson for The 39 Steps at Creed Repertory Theater, Jessica Jackson for The 39 Steps at Open Stage Theater, Matt Zambrano for Baskerville at Lone Tree Performing Arts Center, Paige Flores Medrano for Stone's Twelfth Night, Bowls with the Bard, Paul Jacquith, Let Nothing You Dismay at Firehouse Theater, Steve Kime for Mr. Burns at Bob Blue, Warren Sherrill for National Bohemians at Miners Alley Performing Arts Center, Christy Montour Larson again for Eureka Day at Curious Theater, and Josh Hartwell for Hope and Gravity from Betsy. So, who does our notable recognition go to in this category, Tony?
Notable recognition goes to Steve Kime for Mr. Burns at Bach Blue. In your review, Alex, you said that Mr. Burns, a post electric play, is a treat, a gift to more adventurous theatergoers looking for something out of left field that delivers across the board. Keem and the Bach Blue team have served up a loving production that really sings in the most disturbing fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a challenging one to direct. Like I said, it jumps around in time. There's a lot of different scenic and costume elements that have to be part of it that he managed really well. And of course, he's the I don't know if he's the artistic director or but he's one of the leaders there, and he's directing a lot of shows up there too. So all right, in the excellent category here, who do we have for this one?
We opted for Christy Montour Larson for Eureka Day at Curious Theater. Christy was nominated twice in this category, a very funny lady. And in my review of Eureka Day, I called out her direction because this production delivers sharp laughs, strong performances, and some eerily relevant commentary. This was a play about vaccines and the debate that rages on there and continues to rage into 2026. And Christie just really did a nice job with the cast there at Curious.
Yeah. The outstanding winner in this category is another super busy guy in 2025, Warren Sherrill for
Definitely.
National Bohemians. Yeah, he was all over the place. And this was at Miners Alley Performing Arts Center. This was a world premiere show. I said his cast was skillfully directed by Warren Sherrill, all in creating these damaged but entertaining characters. So he had like every one of it was a relatively small cast, and they were all really big characters. So I think
Hmm.
Warren did a really nice job of balancing, not letting one of them run away with the thing. He also had to direct his boss in there because Len Matheo was in that show for the first time on stage in a while. So that's always challenging, right? Directing your boss.
I suppose so. I've never had to. I guess we'll have to ask Warren.
Yeah. All right.
Our
What's our
next
next category?
category. Yeah, our next category is director in a musical. The nominees are Amanda Berg Wilson for Ghost Quartet by the Catamounts, Ben Rana for the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee by Family Theater Company, Chris Coleman for Little Shop of Horrors at the Denver Center, Kelly Van Osprey for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center, Kenny Moten for Frozen at the Arvada Center, Steve Wilson for Bright Star at Candlelight, Tanner Kelly for Something Rotten at Stage Door, Talia Licare Delio for Lizzie at the Aurora Fox, Kate Gleason for The Fantastics at Creed Rep, and Scott R.C. Levy for Cabaret at TheaterWorks. And who does notable recognition go to?
It goes to Scott R.C. Levy for that production of Cabaret at TheaterWorks. So our reviewer April Took said it was a big show that used a lot of creative staging and really delivered as heaped praise on how Levy's tight, multi-tiered staging brought the gender-bending action up close and personal.
Excellent recognition goes to Chris Coleman for Little Shop of Horrors at the Denver Center. Alex, you said in our conversation about this that this sci fi musical classic soars in a meticulously crafted production helmed by Chris. He seems like he poured so much love into this show. You could tell he just went all out. They did everything to make this show pop, and that is absolutely true. It was a killer show with a killer plant.
Yeah, loved it, loved it. Of course, you and I both loved that musical, and it was so fun to see just this really kick-ass professional production of it on a kind of a smaller stage than we would have like we saw it at the Buell or something like that. So the outstanding winner in this category is another super busy, probably busiest woman in Colorado theater in 2025, Kelly Von Osprey for Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. Of course, Kelly, friend of the pod, also is the artistic director, not just at Platte Valley Theater Arts, but now at Performance Now Theater Company. She's a director, but also a choreographer in a lot of shows. And you just saw, you went down to see this production of Mary Poppins and were just really impressed.
Yeah, I said what ultimately propels this production is the clear, confident vision of director Kelly, whose name carries real weight in the Colorado theater scene, and for good reason. She handles Mary Poppins with the precision of somebody who understands the sheer engineering required to make a musical of this scale feel effortless. Her staging was fluid, tightly cued, and deeply character-driven, and grounded the magic of that story in the emotional stakes of the Banks family, all while still unleashing spectacle at all the right moments. It was a really magical musical.
Sounds fantastic, and yeah, sounds like Kelly in her element with a big production like that to undertake. Did she choreograph that as well?
She did not. It was Jeffrey Denman, who we recognized a little bit earlier. It was one of the rare ones where she was not doing double duty.
Okay.
She often does that.
All right, the next category is director of a play. The nominees this year are Betty Hart, another friend of the pod and the president of the Colorado Theater Guild, but also a great director who directed A Case for Black Girls setting Central Park on fire for local theater company. Candace Areno for Cry It Out at Betsy. Donnie L. Betts for G's Bend at Aurora Fox. Jessica Robb Lee for The Thin Place at Betsy. Josh Hartwell for Job at Curious Theater. Kelly Van Osprey for Frankenstein at Platte Valley Theater Arts, Kevin Rich for The Tempest at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival, Missy Moore for Steel Magnolias at Theater Silco, Rebecca Martinez for In Her Bones at the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, and Rich Cowden for The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime at Aurora Fox. So who won the notable prize in this one?
We gave it to Candace for her work directing Cry It Out at Betsy. You said in your review that she works with an A-list cast of Colorado actors to tell a story of three women on the North Shore of Long Island confronting common yet different challenges faced by mothers in 21st century America. The story is served up with a good amount of humor, offsetting the tears and wrenching decisions that make up much of the plot.
Really love that play. Great performances as well. For Marco Robinson was in that one, playing an unusual straight role for him as kind of this just nervous husband, and Noelia Antweiler in it as well. Great performances all around it, and Candace did a really nice job managing that material. Excellent recognition in this category goes to Kevin Rich for The Tempest at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival. In your review, you said it just shown in both large and small moments, balancing spectacle with intimacy. And this was one of our faves of the whole year. So makes sense that the director would get one of our nods here, Tony.
Yeah, another one of our favorites this year, taking home the outstanding award, is Missy Moore for her direction of Steel Magnolia at Theater Silco. In my review, I wrote that Moore finds exactly the right tone, comic with its heart on its sleeve, and skillfully needles the line between laugh out loud moments and emotional gut punches. Her staging makes the most of Michael Gritton's warm, lived-in scenic design, which convincingly captures the cozy, well-warm energy of a southern salon. With just two entry doors and a few styling stations, the set could feel static, but more keeps the action lively throughout. And it's absolutely true. Is like those I think that attention to detail is really what I appreciated about this direction. There was never a dull moment, never a wasted moment that wasn't being used to show us who these characters were, whether it was how they read a magazine to fishing through their purse to grab something in a critical moment or pretending to listen to somebody while actually doing something else or listening to another
Hmm.
conversation. The staging was really just masterful.
It was, and I have to say that, I've known Missy since she was a kid. I was one of the first shows that she was ever in. I was in as well when she was like 11, and of course I knew her mom really well. So and Wendy Moore also directed Steel Magnolias back in the '90s, and it was a standout then. And just watching how Missy has developed and matured as a director over the years, of course, a great performer as well. But this was really a high point for her. And of course, she's at Thunder River Theater Company most of the time, but she did this show for Theater Silco in her old, she went to high school at Summit County, just like I did long ago. So I don't know, it was just really neat to go up there and see that production and think about the legacy that she's sort of the torch that she's carrying from her own mom, who was an amazing director in her own right for many years. So well deserved honor there for the best director of a play. So let's move on to the best original play or musical, Tony. And we were saying this was a good year for original material. Who are our nominees here?
Very good year. Our nominees for Best Original Play or a Musical are A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire by a local theater company, A Town Called Harris by the Catamounts, Chasing Breadcrumbs, also by a local theater company, The Legend of Anne Bonny by Two Cent Lion and Shifted Lens, National Bohemians by Miners Alley Performing Arts Center, The Reservoir by the DCPA, Wild Oscillation by Hold Tight, and Stocking Stuffers by Miners Alley Performing Arts Center.
All right. And notable recognition for this goes to The Legend of Anne Bonny from Two Cent Lion. So this is a world premiere, simply a ton of fun. So playwright Emmy McGuire, who also played one of the characters in it, she was saying she'd love to see this show go on all the way to Broadway. And it was probably not quite completely done. It kind of could use a little bit of a nip and tuck here, I'd say, but it was so much fun. And it was just it was full of action, but also like romantic intrigue, and they had a lot of great characters. And as we noted, they had pretty decent. It was a really sort of minimalistic set, but they did a good job with a lot of the staging, especially the fighting and stuff like that. So good job all around for that one.
Definitely. I know from chatting with Emmy McGuire for a piece I did for Westward about her book that she wrote. She had a very busy 2025.
Yes,
She also
yes.
published her debut novel that last year, but she is intending to revise The Legend of Anne Bonny. She wants to record an album of all of the songs and wants to mount additional performances in places particularly that have some water. This is definitely an aquatic show, so it was funny that it made its debut in the landlocked Colorado.
Right. Yeah, she also has an interesting history as a sailor. I think she
That's
sailed
right.
across the Atlantic or something like that. So she definitely has that pirates vibe to her. And she was on the podcast last year, and we had a great time talking to her.
Mhm. The excellent recognition in this category goes to A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire by local theater company. This was one of the more surprising shows that I went to in 2025. I remember attending the reading and being pretty unimpressed. I didn't really think it could work on the stage. And I was very happily wrong. I'm happy to eat my own words and say that this was a really impressive performance. I said in my review, under the direction of local co-artistic director Betty Hart, the world premiere transforms Corey Alston's language into a physical, urgent theatrical journey. Hart has shaped a 75-minute marathon of relentless motion that fuses spoken word, gospel hymns, and powerful performances into an ambitious and at times overwhelming but deeply resonant new work.
All right. Yeah, I heard nothing but good things about that one. Our outstanding winner in this category for original material is National Bohemians by Luke Sorge from Miners Alley Performing Arts Center. So we both really love this. It's a very clever play based on, boosted by an inspired local cast and impressive stagecraft, which we've already done some awards. Um, and in my review, I wrote that it's the kind of well crafted, satisfying comedy I feel we've been missing from the mix of new plays in Colorado of late. While it delves into some dark subjects, it never takes its eyes off the comedic aspect of the story while also resonating with anyone who's tried and failed to reconcile with family members. Lots of fun, really fun show.
Hmm. And speaking of comedy, that's our next category.
Yeah, so the nominees for Best Comedy are The 39 Steps from Open Stage Theater, Baskerville from the Lone Tree Arts Center, Dracula, a comedy of terrors at the Denver Center, Eureka Day for Curious Theater, Hope and Gravity from Betsy, National Bohemians from Miners Alley, Let Nothing You Dismay from Firehouse, Mr. Burns from Bob Blue, Morning After Grace from Miners Alley Performing Arts Center, and also from Miners Alley Stocking Stuffers. And at TheaterWorks, the importance of being earnest. So, who got our notable recognition in this one, Tony?
Mr. Burns at Bop Blue. You said in your review, Alex, that this post apocalyptic 3 act is a treat for the adventurous theatergoer. Cleverly directed by Steve Kime, who we awarded a little bit earlier, this production benefits from an excellent cast performing multiple roles as the story winds its way through a fun house of pop culture that's transformed as the years roll by.
Love this one. Yeah. Excellent recognition in this category to the 39 Steps from Open Stage. Our reviewer Leela Einhorn said seamless stagecraft drives the 39 Steps at Open Stage, calling it a fast paced romp packed with physical comedy and Python-esque humor up there at Open Stage at the Lincoln Center.
And the outstanding winner in this category is Dracula, a comedy of terrors at the Denver Center. This is just a hilarious production, only 90 minutes long, no intermission. And you said in your review, settling in for a long run at the Denver Center's Garner Galleria Theater, Dracula, a comedy of terrors is a batshit 90-minute laugh fest and the best thing produced in this space in recent memory. Absolutely true. I think that's in part due to a powerhouse Colorado cast and an actually funny script.
Yep. Yep. And I saw it in November right after it opened, but I also saw it on New Year's Eve, and it was really fun to see how much it had changed since then. You can tell that the cast is, they're doing they're at it for 8 shows a week, I think. So when I was
Something like
speaking
that,
with
yeah.
yeah, when I was speaking with Marco and Adrian on the podcast, she was saying, yeah, we've got to keep it, we've got to keep freshening it up. So yeah, so they're doing 6 nights a week and then two. Yeah, so I think they're doing 8 a week. So yeah, they're really having fun with it, and it's definitely a really fun show that keeps changing.
Yeah. And our next category is Best Musical. The nominees are Bright Star at Candlelight, Frozen at the Arvada Center, Ghost Quartet by the Catamounts, Little Shop of Horrors by the Denver Center, Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center, Lizzie over at the Aurora Fox, Nice Work If You Can Get It at Lone Tree, Cabaret at TheaterWorks, Rock of Ages by Parker Arts and Veritas, and The Fantastics at Creed Rep. So, who is our notable winner?
The Fantastics at Creed Rep. So our reviewer Drew the Sears said Kate Gleason directs a production overflowing with humor and charm. The cast, all experienced, primarily Colorado-based thespians, displayed consistently strong vocals and dance abilities for that one. So down there in Creed.
Mm-hmm. Excellent recognition goes to Mary Poppins at the Fine Arts Center. I said in my review that this was a lavish production with joyful performances, big dance numbers, and stunning stagecraft. It's a sweeping, full-hearted staging that, like Mary Poppins herself, is practically perfect in every way.
All right. An outstanding winner in this category is Bright Star. So, Tony, you loved this show, and in your review, you wrote stunning vocals and heartfelt staging elevate Candlelight's southern tale of love and loss. The production blends a predictable but poignant plot with exceptional performances, lush vocals, and a bluegrass band so good it just might convince you to pick up a fiddle on the way home. So, I know that you just couldn't say enough about this one, and that one goes to Candlelight up there in Johnstown.
Yeah, I can't say I actually ever did pick up a fiddle, but it certainly made me consider it.
Yeah. All right. Well, our next category is Best Play. So the nominees this year are A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire from local theater, Perfect Arrangement from Firehouse Theater, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof from DCPA Theater Company, G's Ben from Aurora Fox, Job at Curious Theater, Steel Magnolias at Theater Silco, The Hot Wing King from DCPA Theater Company, The Tempest from Colorado Shakespeare Festival, The Thin Place from Betsy, and In Her Bones from the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. So, Tony, who won the notable recognition in this category?
Goes to Perfect Arrangement by Firehouse Theater in Denver. Alex, in your review, you said director Troy Lakey puts all the pieces in place with a strong cast and creative team. Firehouse distinguishes itself as a small theater that attracts top tier local talent alongside great picks for the material they choose to present.
Yeah, Firehouse had a really great year. They had a lot of really interesting shows going up, and I really love the play selection that they've got over there. Excellent recognition in this category goes to one we've been talking about, Steel Magnolias at Theater Silco, directed by Missy Moore. Tony, in your review, you wrote that the staging was superbly directed production with an all-star cast with Ann Terza Schwartz, Leslie O'Carroll, Maggie Tisdale, Rachel Miller, Christy Oberndorf, and Emma Messenger. And Missy Moore's direction found exactly the right tone and polished across the board. So, really, really great show.
Definitely. And the outstanding winner in this category goes to The Tempest at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival. I said in my review that launching CSF's 68th season, Kevin Rich's staging blends both visual storytelling with grounded performances. Alan McLaughlin leads the cast as a commanding Prospero. The show leans into the tension between rulers and servants, grounding Shakespeare's fantastical narrative in a powerful, emotional, and surprisingly political core.
Such a great show. It's probably my favorite Shakespeare, and it was such a great production. I really loved it. So well deserved there. Well, that's
Mhm.
it for all of our kind of normal categories. We have one last. This one's called Above and Beyond. So this kind of rewards for things that didn't necessarily fit neatly into any of the other categories. And so these are all winners here. So you wanna kick us off, Tony?
I absolutely do. This is one of my favorite awards. It is for Best Disco Number in a Hot Boxed Coffee Shop. We teased this one last time, and we said if with a little thought, you can probably figure this one out. And this award goes to Stoned 12th Night. It was just a really hilarious production overall. It had this really fun disco, this kind of 70s vibe that it was infused with, and there was just this really splendid disco number that took place all around this coffee shop that this show was performed in. And because all of the actors and audience members were smoking weed, this is Stone 12th Night, it
Right.
was all completely hotboxed as these people were doing this elaborate disco number in the show. Just a really banger time.
Okay, forgive my ignorance, but what does hotboxed mean?
Hotboxed is when there is so much smoke in an environment that you just are getting that secondhand smoke from all of the exterior vapors. You normally will hotbox like a car or a room. In this case, it was the back room of this coffee shop where they do their performances.
Okay, I wasn't familiar with that term, so I think of like Jeff Spicoli tumbling out of the van in Fast Times at Ridgemont
That's
High.
exactly that they hotbox that van, Alex.
Okay. All right. The next award in this category is in the category of clever reinvention of the form on a budget. This was Camp Christmas, the revamp at Stanley Marketplace from DCPA Off Center and Hanson Studios. So I was at this with my grandkids. The original Camp Christmas was this unbelievably elaborate, huge, endeavor. And then the pandemic, it moved and reshaped itself outside. And so kind of came back home to Stanley Marketplace, which was where it started in, I guess, 2019. And yeah, they did a really nice job. It was like the walkthrough portion of it was stripped down. I think tickets were like $10, and there was also this interactive part that you could continue on, wandering through the rest of Stanley Marketplace. So really, I think they did a great job with reimagining Camp Christmas for in a kind of a smaller way.
100% agree. I kind of was very hesitant that this would work out because what had made Camp Christmas so special in years past was its over the top kitschiness, and yet I get this was another example where I was happy to eat my words and be proven wrong.
Yeah. They also had one part of it where it was just a simple bubble machine in like a little kind of a hallway that our 2-year-old grandson thought it was endlessly entertaining. So it wasn't all high tech. It was just sometimes it was just like the simple things.
Definitely. Our next award for Above and Beyond goes to The Thin Place by Betsy for its ghostly magic. There is some really incredible practical effects that take place near the end of the show that had to be seen to be believed. In terms of it's just that the vanishing that takes place before your
Right.
eyes. It was a really impressive feat of storytelling. I got to follow up with Jess. She said she'd tell me how they did it after the show closed, but I never followed
Oh
up.
yeah.
I got to
Yes.
email her now.
Yes. Let's find out. The next one was one for inventive take on dinner and a show. We talked about this one, Wild Oscillation from Hold Tight. And so you were at this, and it was just a really interesting, reimagined kind of dinner theater experience, right?
Definitely. Our next award goes to Frozen at the Arvada Center for its theatrical magic. This is another show that really had some cool moments of practical effects, including a dress quick change that Elsa does in the middle of Let It Go that just had the audience I was at in awe, literally saying, "Oh my gosh," gasping at that
Yeah,
effect. And there were several moments like that in which they integrated practical effects with the projections all around them. Really strong work from the team
yeah,
over there.
great job, great job. Also, thinking about projections, an award for projections to Topher Blair for Eureka Day at the Curious Theater. This was a really integral part of the show, and you and I are both always willing to. Well, we're always a little skeptical of projections.
Because this sequence happened in the middle of a school board meeting in which you got to see the people, all of the members of the school board being on this meeting, and then the live comments from all of the different parents who were absolutely losing their minds over the vaccine debate that was taking place.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really neat way. It was a really neat way to kind of. It was very modern take on like how discourse
Yeah,
happens that is tricky to pull off on stage, and they did a nice job with it.
another
Projections.
Yeah, I was
Uh, uh,
another award for projections goes to Brandon Philip Case for his work on Curious Incident at the Aurora Fox. This was a really cool effect in which he kind of rather than having a really elaborate set, they used projections on the back wall to kind of illustrate the main character's notebook. It was almost as if the drawings from his notebook had come to life and were making up the world that you saw. It was really cool, practical projections that really added to the storytelling in that world.
yeah, yeah, it was really neatly done. Another one that you had for this category, Shadow Puppet by Myra Sue, and music composition by Jordan Kotri in The Tempest at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival. What more can you say about these two?
So the shadow puppet work that took place throughout in key moments throughout the Tempest was just really striking. It was often used when Prospero was telling stories about the past to kind of illustrate this darker past literally being performed by these dark shadows. Really cool effects throughout. And then Jordan Coffrey composed a score that was played throughout the entire live by him throughout the entirety of the show that really added texture to this world of the Tempest.
Yeah, all part of that just incredibly richly textured production there. This next one is video design by Ian Vestman. This is probably the strangest show we saw all year. Around the World in 80 Toys. This was a solo performance by Thaddeus Phillips at Buntport. How would you describe this show, Tony? It was so interesting.
It was an avant-garde adaptation of Around the World in 80 Days, performed by one man, Thaddeus Phillips, using a overhead projection and various cameras that were placed on objects that he would move around the room. And it didn't always work. In fact, it often broke down and he had to
Yeah.
move it himself. But the effort was essentially this kind of Rube Goldberg machine of camera operation in which he would move things around and reveal different things through the camera angles that he had placed. He would move the camera to reveal different images or parts of these toys or parts of this world. It was, again, like you said, one of the stranger things I saw last year, but also one of the more inspiring and really reminded me that you can use video in exciting ways. I know that Thaddeus is going to be continuing to clean up this performance. He's taken it to other fringe festivals around the country, and so I hope the video projection stuff has smoothed out just a hair, but the concept was incredible.
Yeah, it made you really wanna see it, like, cleaned up and fixed so you could see see it the way he really imagined it's supposed to look, and, such an interesting production. This other one is for a community-based theater effort, the Sala Project from Theater Artibus. This is all about the actual neighborhood where the Denver Savoy sits, which is the home there of Theater Artibus. And it was a really interesting kind of history lesson about the people of color that lived in that. And now I can't remember the name of the neighborhood, and like who lived there, who'd been in that building, and some of that. But it was it was really interesting to see, and also kind of that history lesson, like I was saying.
Mhm. Our next award goes to Marco Alberto Robinson for his athleticism. Now, this could have been given to for him in just about any of the shows he was in this year, except for maybe, I suppose, Cry It Out, in which he's
Yes.
playing a bit more of a straight man. But we opted to give him this award for A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder at the Arvada Center, particularly for this one moment in the second act, I've Decided to Marry You, in which Marco is in between two doors and trying to keep these two women separate, who are in opposite rooms, and he's just bouncing between them, leaning on both doors, back and forth. And in addition to that number, he's just running around the Arvada Center stage for the entirety of the show.
Yeah.
Very impressive, demanding performance from Marco.
Yes. Very funny scene. And the last one in this category is from Millabo Art Theater for She Dies for You. And the category was for making opera accessible. So this is just a really interesting take on opera that I guess you had to see it to believe it, but our reviewer really thought it was something special. So that's it.
Yeah, that brings us to the end of the Oscar Awards. It was such an amazing lineup of deserving theater artists. We have an embarrassment of riches here in Colorado.
Yeah. It was a good year with a lot of fantastic work. And God, I was going through these. I was like, God, it's wild to think of how many hours of effort these awards represent. So much love and creativity and just hard work is poured into all of these shows by the directors, the creative team, the actors. And if you think about the support that everyone gets from their friends and family and driving them to rehearsals or just picking up, doing the things at home while the actor is on stage, and so much effort and work that Colorado's just lucky to have so much live theater and such a supportive community to get it done.
Indeed. And we should note that these shows, these winners, only represent the work that we've seen in the state. And somebody on the OnStage Colorado review crew has actually gone out and reviewed. We do certainly acknowledge that there was a ton of other great work on stage around Colorado that we didn't get to, and we're super bummed about that. But we're going to continue expanding our coverage in 2026. So we hope to see even more theater than we did this year, if you can believe it.
Yes, absolutely. So for the winners, we'll be in touch with the theaters with your Oscar award certificates. If a few weeks go by and you haven't received yours, just reach out to us at info@onstagecolorado.com and we will take care of it.
That's right. Next week we will be back with a episode of our regular podcast that includes Colorado headliners, news from around the state, maybe a main topic, TBD. We'll get back
Yep.
on that. And then an interview that you did, Alex, with Marco and Adrian Robinson.
Yeah, definitely want to hear that one. So on the website, keep an eye out for the latest reviews, including Tony, your reviews of Shrek the Musical at Pace, Legally Blonde at the Arts Hub in Lafayette, Revolt, She Said, Revolt Again from Moot Point Project. Matthew Schultz will be reviewing Spamalot at Town Hall, and we'll be at the DCPA Theater Company world premiere of Cowboys and East Indians coming up. So yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on. It's starting to feel like a proper theater world again. It got a little slow in the Christmas New Year holiday, so I'm excited to see the stage is lit up with activity again.
Absolutely. Well, congrats to all of our Oscar winners. I'm Alex Miller, and we'll talk to you soon.
That's right, yeah. And I'm Tony Tresca, and we will see you out at the show.